Welcome once again to TKTV, TinKnockers Television. I'm your host, Shawn Davis. Today I have with me Mr. Ed Vecchio.
How you doing?
He's running for the election board, and we on the campaign trail once again. The men want to know. That's my new thing now. The men want to know.
Want to know.
You're running for the election board.
Executive board, yeah.
The executive board.
Right.
What are you looking to bring to us
Right.
with this election coming out of trusteeship?
Well, I'll tell you. First of all, hello, brothers and sisters. And Shawn, before I begin with anything, Shawn, I just want to thank you for taking the time out and letting me utilize this studio setup and everything else like that. I think it's terrific. And not only that, but I think that somewhere down the road, I think this is a medium and a forum that can be utilized by the local union to get the message out and perhaps even have things that we have never done before where we can utilize it to get information out to the membership. And I can get into that briefly in a little while. Just a couple things about me for those of you that do not know who I am. My name is Ed Vecchio once again, and I've been around for about 34 years. I'm running for executive board. Okay, my ballot number is 8C. I've done a lot of stuff over the course of my career. I've done everything, the ductwork, decking, the siding, all of that kind of stuff. Over the last several years, I've also trained and certified OSHA instructor. I've been the evening OSHA instructor for the last 3 years. I've been involved in the school there at night for the last 4 years doing that. A lot of you guys may recognize me from there. Additionally, I was just certified last year as being an architectural instructor. That's going to help better prepare a lot of members to go out there that may not have done architectural work ever and not really know exactly what's involved. We're going to give you at least a basic skill set and a basic knowledge of what's involved in that, so that if the opportunity comes up, that you will be able to go out there and at least make a credible showing for yourself. And hey, who knows, you might like and enjoy doing that as a change of pace, or maybe instead of doing ductwork. And we could certainly use all the people that we can to do that kind of work. We have a lot of it, and there's a lot more coming. I've made a good living at it for a long time as well. There's things I know that there's a lot of questions and things that every candidate is going to want to bring to the table and talk about and say that they're going to promise and everything. A couple things we need to bear in mind. Number one, for this election, this special election, anybody that's elected to the positions from the president to the financial secretary treasurer to a business agent to 4 executive board spots, as well as a couple of trustees and a conductor, these are all just one-year terms essentially. Okay, it's an audition. It's a chance for all of us to begin moving everything forward with the local, because we've really had gone through quite a bit of turmoil the last 53 months, and we're finally we're getting handed back our local to handle things the way we ought to, where we get to make our decisions and begin to move things forward, making forward progress once again. It's the dawning of a new day. It's a time to begin the healing and begin moving forward. And that's a very important thing. It starts now. Next year, for the regular election, those of us that are fortunate enough to be elected to the post for this year, you, the members, are going to be able to decide, for those of us that want to continue going forward beyond next year, whether or not we're the people you want to have there, as well as the incumbents that are there. And if not, well, it's your chance to go ahead and clean house, if you will, and that's talk here out there, or to modify it however you see fit, all for the greater good of the local. That's really what it's all about, okay? As I said, I'm running for executive board, and I just want to make you aware, as an executive board member, even if it was a full 3-year term that we're talking about, the executive board is an advisory board. It's not as though I can sit here and say, well, if I get in, I'm going to promise that this is going to happen. I can't do that. And really, it's very difficult for any individual to really say that they're going to affect that change single-handedly on their own. I can tell you that as an executive board member, I'll be able to bring forth the ideas, some of them that I'm going to outline here in just a second, to the table and see how it flies out there, and see whether or not, through an exchange of ideas, whether or not it's something that we can go forward with. Or maybe have to modify it a little bit and then bring it to the membership, or affect a change for the positive and for the good going forward as well. you just never know. A lot of times the ideas come from, the rank and file as well. And, a great idea, it's not limited to just the elected officials. The great ideas are out there waiting all the time, and you never know where the next great idea that's going to really have a tremendous impact on our local is going to come from. And one of the things that I would do, one of my responsibilities as an executive board member, would be to bring those ideas to the table and have somebody else say, hey, you know what? That is a good idea. Let's see if we can do something about it. Okay? So, a few of the things I just want to touch on very briefly here. I don't want to take up a ton of your time on this. There's all these things going on Facebook and stuff like that, between all the things you need to read, all the letters that are coming out, a few other videos that are out there as well. One of the things that I would think we all need, that we all talk about and we definitely need to address is organizers. We definitely need to get more organizers out there. I know there are locals across the country that for every business agent, they have an organizer. Yeah. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, now understand that it's my understanding that the International only pays for the funding for one organizer on the road. After that, any organizers you put out there have to be funded from that local. Okay, so if we're going to do that, that's all well and good, and everybody seems to want that. Understand that if that can be done and we work out whatever has to be done as far as the logistics of that, they still have to be paid. Okay, and that money has to come from somewhere. Are we, the membership, willing to make whatever sacrifices are necessary to make sure that this happens? Because if not, then we can talk about putting organizers on the road, but that's where it's going to end. It's going to cost money. It's going to cost money somewhere. Can that money come from one of our existing funds as part of maybe a seed money to get things started? Maybe, maybe not. I don't want to be talking out of turn because I don't know all that may be involved in that. Okay, or are we willing to give back? Are members willing to give back maybe something from their envelope or maybe from the next pay raise rather than putting it into our envelope or something like that? Are you willing to take a percentage of that money that we have allocated to us and put that toward the organizer fund so that we can pay for these organizers? There's going to have to be sacrifice. It's good to talk about putting them out there. There is a need for it. But in order to have that happen, we have to find a way to fund it. These are things that I'd like to explore and that I'm certainly going to try to do my best to find out all the information I can, and then with that information, try to push that forward. I'm sure I'm not alone on that. For anybody that's going to be involved on the executive board and the business agents and the business manager, everybody wants to have this happen. We have to see how we're going to make it happen. You, the membership, are going to decide which way we're going to do this as far as money goes. Something else that I'd like to touch upon is we need to take a closer look at the B agreement. We need to take a closer look as to how we can police it to make sure that the B agreement, as it is written, is not being abused by the contractors out there, and that it's certainly that it's going to be beneficial as it's intended to be for the membership and for the survival of this local. I know that Brian Duffy is intimately involved and aware of the ins and outs of the B agreement, as well as with the Airside Direct. And for many of us, we may know a little bit about it, some peripheral information, but these are things that I would certainly sit down and pick Brian's brains about and go over and go back and forth and see whether or not there's any room for improvement or what we can do that might help things move it along a little bit better than the way it appears to be at this point in time. That's something that I certainly, and I know a lot of the members out there have a concern for, and it's something that we need to take a look at to make sure that it's set up and is operating the way it was intended to be. One of the other things we should be able to do is make it easier to create job opportunities, or for a member to become a contractor within our union to help expand our market share, to increase employment opportunities for the members of the local. Okay, maybe there's things that can be done as far as maybe waiving the bond, or do something with the insurance that they're supposed to come up with in order to start up the business. Okay, maybe they can go into things like duct cleaning. Maybe they go into things like maybe specific areas of architectural metal, whether it's gutter installation or whatever the case might be. things of that nature, they can do that. The service work is something I hear a lot of talk about as well, something that we could take a look at, seeing about expanding our horizons that way. This is the way it is, and that's the way of the future also. We also have to see what we can do, and I understand that the work assignment has been sent out to others as far as a lot of the energy, natural energy, as far as end of things. We need to be capturing that and see what we can do with that as well. I'm sure that's part of our work, and it seems to have been claimed, I believe, primarily by the electricians and even the plumbers, but we should be having a hand in that as well. These are things we need to be looking at going forward. The last thing I just want to touch upon really quick also is the Local 28 website that we have out there. It's okay, is the best way I'll say it. It needs to be revamped. I think it needs to really be updated. I think that it needs to be utilized to its fullest potential, and I really don't believe that at this point in time that that's the case. I know that it certainly can be used for things like sending out and receiving emails and being able to download copies of the email so that you can get information out there. Maybe if persons don't have access to the internet, people that do can download the information and hand out hard copies, or at least pass the information along.
A bulletin board.
A bulletin board, if you will, okay? Also, it would be one of the things that going forward in future elections that I think that could help lower the cost factor down a little bit for candidates that are running for an elected office, because the cost of just doing a mailing to the Quad State area with either a letter or a postcard is still going to cost you close to about $3,000. If there's a way to lower that cost down, because maybe you have access to so many different email addresses and so on and so forth, so you know that that member is going to receive your information via email,
that's
going to save on a mass mailing. You may still have to do a mailing, but maybe you can lower the cost by a third or something like that. Every penny counts, and it shouldn't be a cost prohibitive item to have to try to run for an elected office when the reason why you're doing it is for the benefit of the local union. I understand it could cost you a couple dollars, and it may well, but it should not be costing you a prohibitive amount of money or several $1,000s. If you're a member that's been out of work for any length of time, you may be a person that's highly qualified to be in any of these elected positions, but because you've been out of work and because you don't have any money along the way, or you got whatever the case might be, that might prevent you from running for office, and it shouldn't. This is a medium, as far as even with the internet, that could be utilized. Your TKTV, I think this is something that is going to be utilized going forward in the future. I mean, it's in its infancy right now, but you know what? The potential of what can happen with what you have here, and then integrating that even with the internet and with that particular website, the possibilities are simply endless. From people doing campaign videos similar to this, to maybe having guest speakers on talking about specific items.
A press conference.
About a
certain topic or whatever it is.
Yeah, a question and answer session.
Q&A.
Even a debate on here among candidates going forward. The possibilities are simply endless. But with the way the system is set up now with the Local 28 website, it cannot happen. These are just a couple of things that I'd really like to see happen down the road, and that if elected, I would, you have my promise, as many of you know, I'm not one to BS, that I would definitely try to push forward and try to get taken care of. As always, I would always be open to any of your suggestions and ideas, and bring forward those ideas to the board as well for consideration, and perhaps you have a change come from there as well. All I can say is that this Saturday, March 21st, the voting is from 6:30 to 12:30. Okay, it's going to be at the
6:30 a.m.
6:30 a.m. Okay.
To 12:30.
Yeah. Okay. It's going to be at the American Legion Hall on Willis Avenue in Albertson, New York. It'll be at the Nicholas Maldarelli Training Center on 139-20 Jamaica Avenue in Jamaica, New York. Okay, the training school, the school. It's also going to be at DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx on Marshallou Parkway. And again, from 6:30 to 12:30 is the voting time. My ballot number is 8C. I hope that you got some information out of this, got a little bit more insight as to where I'm coming from and what I hope to bring to the table. And I hope I can count on your support, and most importantly, your vote. And I hope to see you all on Saturday. Thank you very much, Shawn.
Right.
Thank you very much for
You got
your
my
time
vote.
here.
You got
Thank
my
you
vote.
very much.
Let's do it, guys.
Okay. God bless
Saturday.
Local
Let's make it
28.
happen, guys. Come on, support this election. Thank you.
Thank you.